into the last bit, which is doing the interior angles for the convex shapes. Okay? So the questions that are going to be up here, the reason they're there is because we're going to need these to answer and to set up equations or to set up the formula for the interior angles of a polygon. Okay? All right, so going through this. How many sides does the triangle have? Hey, that's good. And how many, if I took a triangle, added up those three angles there, how many degrees was that again? 180. Okay, you're going to need those two facts to kind of push you through the rest of this. Okay? So the next part down, or the next page, if you flip it to 87, or wherever it's at, next, you don't have to flip it right now. When they got that quadrilateral there, they're going to ask you, how many sides does it have? Well, hopefully you got 4. For the next part here where it says use your knowledge of triangles to find the sum of the interior angles, even if you already know how many degrees those 4 add up to, which you could because they're all 90, I can figure it out. The point of doing this is to get you to understand how they're getting that 360 that's there. So if I drew in, or if I split this up into triangles that are completely attached to my vertices, I can take this, draw that across, and split it into 2 triangles. Correct? How many degrees are in each triangle? So there's 180 here, 180 here. If I add those together, it gets you how many? That's where the 360 is coming from, okay? So 4 sides always has 360 because I can take a 4-sided figure and always split it into 2 triangles. Now I know I could do more, but like if I drew a line across here, like the angles for the triangles in here would not be attached to my vertices. I need them to be attached to the ends. Okay, so there were 2 triangles. So 2 times 180 gives you that 360. So if I move to the very next part of that, which should have a pentagon there now, with the 5 sides, right? You should see this one here. It's asking you kind of the exact same problems where it says how many sides does it have? It's got how many sides? 5. So if I take that and break it up kind of like I did on that quadrilateral into triangles, let's say if I start up here, I can break it up into how many triangles? 1, 2, 3. So I know I've got 3 triangles there. So these angles on the inside should be 3 times 180, what's 3 times 180? Anyone got it? Or 360 plus 180? 40. Boom. Now look, there's a relationship between this number and that number right there. Right? Because if I go through the order that was there, with 3 sides, that was 1 triangle, correct? 4 sides was how many triangles? 5 sides was 3 triangles. If I go up to 6 sides, how many do you think it's going to be? You see the little pattern there. How far apart are those 2 numbers? How far apart are those 2 numbers? How far apart are those 2? They're always 2 apart. Okay? The number of sides and the number of triangles, the triangles will always be 2 less than the number of sides. So if I go up to like 14 sides, how many triangles do you think are going to be in there? 12. Okay? Now, the point of understanding that and the point of knowing that is because this number right here will get you how many degrees these angles should add up to. Okay? Like this number down here, the 540, if I took that angle, that one, that one, that one, and that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and added them up, they would equal 540 degrees. If I took the 14 angles in a 14-sided polygon, it would add up to whatever 12 times 180 is. So this portion down here, 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 those numbers, that gives you the sum of the interior angles. Right? So the interior angles are the ones that are on the inside. Interior means inside. So if I take all my angles, like in a hexagon, if I took all 6 of them and added them together, 4 times 180 will be what they should add up to. So the number of triangles, what this is doing is it's giving you a number to set the sum equal to so that you can find maybe a missing angle measure, or you could like solve for x if they put x's on the angles. Okay? But if you want this in like formula form, it would look like that. Okay? So essentially what we just did up there, to get the sum of the interior angles, you take the number of sides, so n represents the number of sides, subtract 2 from it, and then multiply it by 180. Because this right here, the n minus 2, that's the number of triangles, 180 degrees in each triangle. So make sure you write that down. Make sure you write next to it that this is the sum of the interior angles. Right? Sum meaning that you're taking the interior angles, whatever they are, and adding them all together. So this number right here will get you the value of all the angles combined. Not one angle, but all of them together. Okay, now there's a lot of stuff we can do from this. There's a lot of things you're going to have to use problem-wise with this, like stemming from this formula. So that's why I said it's very important to write that down and have it somewhere that you can reference it. Your most basic problem that you'll see, we one that's saying, I want you to tell me the sum of the interior angles given a number of sides. Meaning they're just asking you to take the n, right? The n is the number of sides, throw it into that formula, and get a value for it. So you need a calculator for this unless you want to do all this by hand. Yeah, well, a little quicker. So, nonagon has how many sides?
9.
So if I want the sum of that, I would do 9 sides minus 2, right? Because this is how many triangles there are, times 180, which is the degrees for one single triangle. So what's 7 times 180? 1,260? Boom. Okay? So that means if I had a nonagon in front of me, like if I had it drawn out, and I had to find like a missing angle, I would add up all the angles they give me, subtract it from that number to find out whichever one's missing. Okay, but there'd be 9 angles that you're working with. All right, 17 gon would just be 17 minus 2 times 180. What's 17 minus 2? Well, no, this part. Wait, what is it after you... Say it again. Okay? All right, so now where you're actually going to use this, because this is like way too easy of a problem. All right, where you're going to see this, guys, is problems where it'll say like solve for x. Okay? Now, how many sides? The shape that's up there. Gosh, how many sides up there? 4, right? Okay, so here's the thing. You should get to a point where you don't need like a formula to get how many or what the value of the sum of the interior angles for a quadrilateral is. Like just with a triangle being 180, it should be kind of known that this one, if I add all 4 of those together, should equal 360. But again, if you ever forget, you can always go back to the n minus 2 times 180 thing, because that's where that number was coming from. But we use quadrilaterals so much that understanding that these 4 add up to 360 should be kind of a given. Okay? So now, again, all this formula just gives me the, like, what to equal. It's giving me the value to set my equation equal to. The actual expression I'm coming up with will be what I get when I add all those together. So if I'm solving for x, I got to take this angle, I got to take that one, and that one, and add them all together. How many x's are up there? Not 4. Include the numbers. Like 5x plus 3x plus 5x plus 4x. What is that?
10, 14, 17.
So 17x. I got a negative 15 here. I got a negative 15 there. Negative 1 and a positive 34.
65.
What?
3.
Positive what?
3.
Positive 3. 360. How do I solve that now? What's 357 divided by 17? I don't know. Come on. Just got a calculator. Do that out real quick. 357 divided by 17. Okay. Now I could then take that and say, what's the measure of each angle? Meaning plug it back in. But it doesn't say that, so we don't need that. Okay. If they got stuff listed on the angles, which they do now, that means my first step, regardless of what it's asking, I'm doing this because that's going to tell me what they all add up to. Okay, which I need because nothing's regular or anything like that up there. Which that was 540. Okay, now what's the first question say? All right, so find the value of x. So I've got to take all the angles again, add them together, and when I add them together, remember this part tells me what to set it equal to. That's the point of having that formula, is because it's going to tell you what to put on the right-hand side of the equation.
It's 21x.
Wait, what is it?
21x. No, 20x. 20x. Because there's a negative x over there. No.
19 plus 3 is what?
It's 21, and then...
No, 19 plus 3 is what?
20.
22. You're right first time, 21.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I was right the first time.
19 plus 3 is 22. Minus 1 is 21.
I thought it was 21.
All right, then what is, I got 124 up there. I got 100 there, 113 and 98. I need all those together.
What?
124, 100, 98, 113.
435.
40. And then I need 540 minus 435.
540 minus...
What? 105?
135.
105. And then 105 divided by 21. It's what?
0.04.
What?
105.
5.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then if it says, hey, find the measure of those angles, I got to just plug 5 into the other one and get it. So if I plug 5 into here, 98 plus 15 is what? It's 98 plus 15.
114.
Up here I got 100 minus 5, which is what? And then over here I got 19 times 5, which is what?
95.
95. There you go.